In this video, we're going to be covering your green belt, yellow stripe. At this rank, there is no new stances to learn, so we expect that your previous stances will improve. We're going to start with our footwork. The only footwork you have at this belt is called your slide step. Okay, and your slide step, Miss Justice is going to get in a horse stance, and she's going to slide one foot up and then slide the other foot out. And then back, she's going to slide her feet together and out. So this movement is from side to side. So this mainly would only be used for your side kick or to side step from a strike or an attack. Mind you that you're moving side to side in a straight line, and otherwise known as lateral motion. So you're not going to be closing the distance, you're going to be keeping the same distance, if that makes sense. This is a very deceptive footwork and it's great for sparring, because if I'm standing here as Justice's opponent, she slides her feet together. I haven't noticed that she actually has gotten closer to me. Even though that front foot and her front hand hasn't moved closer to me, she can now actually reach me with like a side kick or a back fist or something like that, okay? So, and then if she were to slide back, I haven't noticed that she moved backwards either, okay? So in other words, it's your supporting leg, the leg that you stand on when you're kicking, is the one that's actually moving closer to your opponent. So it's very, very tricky and very deceptive technique. It's a great technique, and that's your slide step. Now we're going to be covering your striking skills for your green belt, yellow stripe, and they're rising elbow and dropping elbow. So we're going to start with the rising elbow, okay? So Miss Justice is going to get in her ready stance with her hands up, okay? Now, your elbow strikes have a hidden technique in all of them. Whether you're doing your cross elbow that you learned in your previous belt, where it's a hook punch and then an elbow strike, the rising elbow is going to be your back to knuckle and then into an elbow strike. So Miss Justice, see how she's doing that? Okay, so we want to avoid just bringing her elbow up like this. We want it to come out like an uppercut and then pop up, okay? Yeah, and if she was doing it, obviously if she was doing it in the fashion of a jab cross, because you have to remember that when you're in your ready stance, most of your strikes are done in the same fashion we do with our jab cross, where we lean our weight forward as we throw our jab, and we lift our heel when we throw our cross. So if I'm doing a rising elbow that way, I'm leaning my weight forward as I'm coming up, and then when I do my rear hand, I'm lifting that heel to throw that strike also, okay? Now your dropping elbow, she's going to throw a full uppercut and then drop her elbow straight down. And as she does it, she wants to sink her stance slightly to drop that force into that strike. And this is your dropping elbow. Now we're going to cover your kicking skills. This kick that you're going to learn at this belt is probably going to be one of your most challenging kicks. Side kick is probably one of the most difficult kicks to perform correctly in the martial arts. I always joke it's a unicorn. I know that they exist, but I've never seen a really good one. Even myself cannot throw a picture-perfect side kick, okay? So from a side horse stance, Miss Justice is facing towards me, she's going to shift her weight slightly onto her back leg. Now when I tell her to, she's going to lift her knee and she's going to chamber it like she's throwing a front kick that way, and then she's going to shoot her heel out towards me and then bring it back. Now it's very difficult to keep your balance of this when you do it slowly. So again, she goes up, out, back, and down. Okay, and that's a side kick. A common mistake that people make is they don't chamber that knee up towards so when I chamber my knee, I want to actually bring this knee towards my opposite shoulder as I chamber it. A good way to practice your side kick, put your hand out opposite the leg you're going to kick with, about waist height, so that when you bring your knee up, you touch your knee to your hand. You touch your knee to your hand, you throw the kick, you bring it back and down, okay? So that's a really good way to practice your side kick so that you get that chamber correctly. All right, and that is your kicking skills for green belt. Now we're going to cover your counters for your green belt yellow stripe. The first one is called a knee check, and you already kind of know how to do it. So it's almost your chamber from all of your kicks. So if Miss Justice was in a ready stance, okay, now these can be done from a horse stance or a ready stance, but if she's doing it from a ready stance, when she lifts her foot to do her knee check, she wants to touch her foot just below her knee, okay? So she goes knee check, and then she does the same with the other leg, okay? It's really important that you touch that foot to your opposite, your other leg, right underneath your knee to create this angle, because you're defending against someone trying to kick you anywhere below the belt. And that's a knee check. The final one is called a middle counter. And you're going to find it in your Taikyoko Sandan kata. And it's a concept that you're going to start learning called sparking. Now, when you do your middle counter, okay, Miss Justice is going to do a middle counter. Okay, notice that she's crossing her arms. Whichever arm is going to do the counter, when you cross your arms, that's the one on the outside. So if my right hand is going to do a right counter, it's on the outside of my hands when I cross them. So it comes out. If I was going to do a left, see how my left hand came in front? And I counter, okay? And when you do this counter, okay, notice that how her arm is at an angle like this, but it doesn't come all the way out here, but it also isn't really close to her body either. You want to go no further than where your shoulder is, okay? You see that line? And that's your middle counter.